Hey Pisces, this is your June 24 soul story. If you have a sun rising or moon in the sign, this might resonate for you. It's Romy. Thank you so much for joining me on my channel. Much appreciated. We're opening up this month with transformation, with death. And, you know, I think there's an irony. As soon as we stop wanting something is often when it flows towards our experience. And it may be that you'd almost given up or decided to let go or walk away from something. And I think June is set to bring a little surprise in terms of how something shows up for you. Definitely something that was wanted. The interesting question to ask yourself when it does arrive is, do I still want this? We're moving into Gemini energy, and of course this activates your 4th house, and it's encouraging you this month to, I think, seek a more sustainable way forward, because you're going to be asking yourself, do I belong here? Now, everyone is very inward focused at the moment, and there's a vulnerability about that as we go deeper, and each and every one of us, to a degree, being prepared for something. And so the question is, what are you being prepared for? What does it feel like you're being prepared for? This first week of June is a hive of activity. The conversations are really lit. We've got Mercury moving into its sign of Gemini on the 3rd, and it's trining with Pluto this day. So there's an interesting negotiation going on, especially around some power dynamics. The 4th sees Venus aligning with the Sun with this beautiful cazimi, and this is a really influential energy, and it can bring about a degree of tenderness, love and appreciation, nurturing, and a real understanding of the value of something, right? All of this, of course, ahead of the new moon in Gemini arriving on the 6th, where we see a whole stellium of energy in the sign. So as this is lit up and we're really having an opportunity for a genuine kind of fresh wave of thinking and a new start, we kind of arrive at a crossroads for you. And I think one of the things that you're going to be exploring is, you know, can it be resolved? What might that be? But you know what I would want to say to you is, do you want it to be? Which might sort of sound like a bit of a loaded question, Pisces, but what would that mean if it was resolved, this situation or this consideration that you're having right now? Because it's hard, isn't it? It's hard to move on or to walk away or to let something go. But there are certainly some big decisions that feel like they're looming or coming really up close and personal for you in the beginning of the month. And it's almost like you're being not pressured, but there's such an urgent call, like a soul call, that feels like it's gathering around that new moon for you, that really wants you to understand the journey right now is very much about you, how you're adapting and growing and reclaiming and expanding, reaching and visioning into something more for yourself. So lean into that experience, but understand that when judgment arrives, there's usually, hot on the heels of it, some major life event that is in the process of becoming, that is set to perhaps change the trajectory of how you saw something unfolding. Now, Mars shifts into Taurus on the 8th. I quite like the deliberate, stoic, considered approach of Mars and Taurus. I think it also brings a real wave of creativity to the actions that we take. You know, we can bring a bit of flair whilst at the same time considering how sustainable something is. And I think that is, as I said, a theme that's kind of gathering more and more importance for you actually through this month of June. Now, one date to look out for, of course, is going to be Mars squaring Pluto on the 11th. A little bit of a trigger point, if you like, around themes of power and fear, and we're challenged, but we're challenged inwardly, remember, when Pluto is retrograde. So what's keeping you small? Where do you feel disempowered? And, you know, the Lover suggests perhaps in the choices that you're making, perhaps in the relationships that you're connected into, perhaps where you feel there is some sort of outside or third party influence over a situation. So expect that to be a day or energy in and around those days that's going to reveal or draw your attention and focus towards something that's uncomfortable but necessary to acknowledge and accept. And from that experience and the way in which you lean into it, we understand that this cycle is a phase, right? Something that you're moving through, and a little bit like accepting the wisdom of it can allow you to receive its lesson and then prepare you for, I think, some of the most sacred blessings that want to be bestowed upon you through this month of June, because you get it. You know, when you just sort of sit back and you just have those moments and you're like, oh my God, I see it. I see it. I see it for what it is. I get it. I understand it. This has just landed for me in a really powerful way. And I think when we look at 3 major arcana, like arriving powerfully as we open up the month of June for you, I think that type of experience is set to arrive. There may be some shifts and changes in the dynamics around house and home. There may be a need for you to be what you are seeking others to be for you at this moment in time. There may be a recognition that it's simply impossible for them to show up in a way that satisfies you truly at this moment in time, which is okay, because as we said, everyone is inward focused. You know, it doesn't have to be a experience that has any permanence around it. The King of Swords is inviting some focus here. And I think based on experience, remember the kings are always bringing through a degree of mastery for us. And so we have to look back on the experiences that we've had over certain situations and really bring a little bit of, or maybe apply a little bit of logic to something, which, you know, can be difficult where we're perhaps in the heat of an emotional unfolding regarding something. And yet you're being asked to kind of show up, yes, with your heart. We always advocate lead with your heart, but also allow your head to kind of rationalize and bring some logic, because the focus from that King of Swords, when applied, is going to help you to be a little bit more discerning and again ensure that you're doing something that is going to be sustainable for you through the course of this month. I also think he's bringing new inspiration. Yeah, and I think that the way that you are able to sort of channel and direct that inspiration, don't think King of Swords gets enough credit for that, right? You know, his ideas are bright and vibrant and luminous, and in this Gemini season when we're reaching for something incredibly futuristic and advanced and, you know, something that feels genuinely a little bit fresh and different, you know, he can be a really powerful channel for us to access that higher mind. And so if we give ourselves permission to sort of allow that meditative process, you know, especially when we're coming up against things where we feel a little bit blocked in driving forward a conversation or in moving and advancing in our career, or again with 4th house energy, maybe something a little bit closer to home. So he's helping you to find an approach, I think, through the course of June that's actually going to help with the transformational experience that you're going through right now. Remember, death and judgment is bringing the end to something and a conclusion to something and a clear understanding and judgment being made by you. You may even feel a little judged from other people in some way, shape or form this month. That could bring about some vulnerability. Be careful that you don't then withdraw so much that you kind of put that protective barrier up and end up being a little bit cool, or feeling like you have to be somewhat clinical to a situation, because if you actually allowed yourself to open up, you just feel like everything would pour out of you, you know. So there's that reminder as well, especially as we come into Cancer season and everything gets a little bit more amped up by way of our sensitivity, right? So we move with Venus shifting into the sign on the 16th, Cancer, Mercury on the 17th, and then sort of building up to this beautiful solstice energy when the sun moves into the sign on the 20th. And solstice is about stillness, and there's something about just let it be. There's a very comforting experience coming for you around that time of the month. Three of Wands says, again, something you've been waiting for. As soon as you stop wanting it, it's going to arrive. Like, really keep that in mind. I'm feeling that strongly for you in the month of June. But what she's also showing me here is the need to kind of step up and claim something. So it's like, you know, even if that's the life you want to live, or, you know, the right to be heard, or the right to want something that you desire, like, I feel it's very important to have to actually express that, so people are very clear about your position in regards to something. And also that this, I mean, it may have just arrived or dawned on you overnight, but to a degree, with the length of her hair, it sort of shows a passage of time. So, you know, I think that there's something that actually you've wanted for a long time, and maybe people haven't fully understood that or didn't know that about you. Again, without communicating or expressing that in the month of June, you know, sometimes you can be left feeling unsupported, or that people are not helping to hold space for the emergence and the unfolding of that, of you becoming and stepping into that vision, or they just don't understand, or there is a misunderstanding in regards to why you may be taking certain actions or doing certain things. I think that there is a slight defiance that comes through as well in regards to something. When I look at the King of Swords and I look at her with her hand on her hip, I'm just like, okay, you know, there's something that you're just like, I'm not tolerating this, and I'm willing to kind of stand up and really clearly articulate why. And, you know, you might even surprise yourself with regards to that, you know. We have Vesta shifting into Leo just ahead of Solstice. Remember, asteroid goddess Vesta is a caretaker of that sacred inner flame, things that are important to us, what we have burning brightly within us, that passion, that life force energy. And in Leo, you know, there's a bit of a restlessness and a sort of hunger and a demanding of some sort of meaning to something. And I think that it kind of gets activated quite strongly for you around that time of the month, 19th, 20th. And of course, we've then got the full moon in Capricorn arriving right after solstice on the 21st. Thing to bear in mind, there's 2 Capricorn full moons in 2024. So the second one arrives on July 21st. You've got the devil coming in here, actually linked to the sign of Capricorn. Now, the thing I want to say about that is, you know, when we feel, it's almost like these 2 full moons are sort of pinning you almost in place to deal with something. And it could feel like it's a little bit harsh in terms of kind of what it's exposing or revealing or testing you or directing you towards. And maybe it goes back to what I said about, you know, this question of, can it be resolved, and do you want it to be? Because is there some form of maybe addictiveness or you know, a kind of leaning into an experience that you know is not necessarily good for you, but you're also deriving as like a secondary gain from it in some way, shape or form. And the devil, as our greatest teacher in many ways, can kind of show us that shadow part of ourselves. So there's a little bit of shadow thing coming up through, you know, the next few weeks. But the thing that we need to bear in mind is that the Capricorn energy gives us the wherewithal to be able to continue to grow and adapt and reach and expand and kind of attain, you know, that higher perspective, and, you know, have the discipline and the commitment to really lean into it and to overcome something. And so keep that in mind, you know, over the course of these next few weeks. You know, there might be moments where this feels like quite a tough gig, you know, this feels like a bit of an endurance test in terms of what you're being asked to face and resolve within yourself. But ultimately, you're going to break free from what that is. And there's an integration point that happens then for you, which is incredibly important, because that feels like a key that is unlocking something much bigger. You know, really strong major arcanas coming in for you for the month of June. So at the same time as we have this beautiful June energy, this solstice coming through, celebratory kind of almost light dancing kind of energy that we want to honor. At the same time, like kind of like what underpins it for you are these much bigger, more dynamic shifting pathways, you know. So that could feel a little bit strange, you know. It's on the surface, it feels like quite light, and then you dig a bit deeper and it's like, wow, this is much more not an intense experience, but well, maybe, yeah, I mean, maybe it is an intense experience, but that doesn't have to be negative, right? It can just be like, wow, like this has really taken me somewhere. This has really felt like a journey for me through the course of this month. Of course, we then have Saturn shifting retrograde in your sign, right? So you're going to be feeling into that. It's happening on the 29th. Feeling into that sort of slowing down, because, you know, these changes, they always affect our equilibrium a little bit, don't they, on an energetic level. And again, that gaze inwards as we really come to terms with the way that we want to do things, doing it in the right way, finding that self-discipline, that level of control, that teaching moment, if you like. Maybe I'm going to say that. Maybe I want to say that June feels like a really big teaching moment for you, but one that can be incredibly progressive if you allow it to be. Now, if you're new to the channel, Pisces, our last 3 cards we look at in the extended reading. My extended readings are another 30 minutes or so. We also look at a personal card and a relationship question for you. Honestly, like the extended readings are the way that I can keep showing up to do the free readings. So your support's really invaluable to me, and I appreciate the investment for those of you that resonate with the reading. I'm going to go ahead and clarify the cards and see the direction that we're going to take this extended for you. You'll find the link in the comment and description box underneath. Another major, wow, look at this. Packing a punch, justice and temperance coming through for you. What about the energy of judgment, the sun, and another? My goodness. Page of Swords. So all the decks I use are always listed below. Oh, nice. Ace of Pentacles. You can find another devil. You can find my sacred titles, my deck, Life Soul Vision Oracle, also my book, Moon Musings, Ways to Work with Me, and another. Over on my website, romywiser.com, you'll also find all my sacred soul support, my meditations, so please check them out. This month there's a new solstice ritual to work through, so please check that out. 2 of Swords with the devil. And 3, okay, really powerful. You know, when we get so many majors, it's just like fate steps in, you know, it's not that we don't have free will, but destiny is also set, and there's a feeling that this month for you feels very fated. It feels like a lot of the unfoldings are kind of coming in quite a powerful way. As you respond to them. So this is Life Soul Vision. Let's have a look at my deck, see what it wants to add. Full Moon, the Gathering, Queen of Air, Soul Stories, yes, Crown Energy, not a surprise, Mirrors of the Mind along with that Devil, yes, of course. Okay. And one more oracle for Pisces for the month of June. Okay. Ingenuity, flame, beautiful. Okay, we'll explore that in the extended. Thank you for joining me. I appreciate you so much. Have a beautiful solstice. Enjoy the month of June, and I will see you again next time.